Spoiler alert! You get it? Because it's fungus and it's spoiled? No.
That's so bad.
You swore.
I mean, Joel, just tell her already. I mean, he does tell her eventually.
Making a vaccine would have killed you.
He should have done it sooner. Yeah, the rift would have still been there, but I think there would have been, more time for Ellie to process and heal from what she knew all along. Besides, after a year of knowing the truth, she actually says this.
I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
And then things were actually potentially gonna be on an upward trend. And then this happened.
Joel, please get up!
I think as the title suggests for this video, what I'm going to be talking about is what is so frustrating for Ellie's character. And that was the fact that she had no control over canon events in her life. Decisions were essentially made for her. She had no say whatsoever. Well, kind of. First, for anyone who's watched season 1, you know what I'm talking about here. Ellie knows that Joel did something. Is hiding something, or just isn't telling the truth, and that decision being is essentially saving Ellie's life at the cost of potentially creating a vaccine or cure or whatever you want to call it. I have my own thoughts about whether or not the Fireflies could make a cure, but really this is kind of a contentious point for me because it's one of the more upsetting things for The Last of Us Part 2. Everyone in Abby's crew, the Salt Lake crew, they believe that what Joel did was wrong because they were sure a cure was going to be made from Ellie.
Think about what he did. How many people are dead because of him?
Which is so narcissistic, I think, and kind of overconfident in Jerry Anderson, Abby's dad, as the only surgeon. Like, he's not even a biologist, he's a surgeon. So how would he know if he could make a cure? Anyways, I don't want to get into that.
I won't let you take her.
The thing Joel takes away from Ellie is the choice to decide if she wants to sacrifice herself for possibly saving the whole world. Now, another thing I'll get into a little bit later into the video is the reason why I believe Ellie was actually willing to open up and forgive Joel eventually was because of the fact that her life that she has now in Jackson, her current situation with Dina, and everything moving forward, it would not have been possible if Joel didn't do what he did. So I think she's battling that as the idea of like, had I sacrificed myself, or had I done what maybe she wanted to do, which is sacrifice herself, she may never have had the opportunity to meet Dina. She may never have had the opportunity to make friends with Jesse, to actually live 5 more years and spend time with people she now calls family and friends. So I think that's kind of a big reason why she ends up trying to forgive Joel. But anyways, we'll talk about that a little bit later in this video. That said, the very positive twist I put on that does not justify Joel doing what he did, robbing Ellie of a decision she could have made maybe on her own. It's a little bit tricky because for anyone who's played Last of Us Part 2, there is actually some dialogue between Jerry Anderson and Marlene, and you can hear the tone of Jerry Anderson. He believes why do we need to let Joel know? Like, we should just do this. It's for the betterment of everyone else on this planet, or so he believes.
I'm gonna go tell Joel.
Why?
He traveled across the country with her. He has a right to know.
So he's on that camp of it, where Marlene was a little bit more like, maybe we should tell Joel. So it's like everyone was kind of wedged in their own little situation where they were forced to a choice at the heat of the moment, because yes, Joel did rob Ellie of the choice, but they didn't even really have time to make the choice. Ellie was knocked out. They were gonna proceed with the surgery, and that was it. I don't know, they never bring it up if Joel ever thought about what would Ellie think, or because there's none of that. We know he made his decision to save his daughter. He didn't think about anything else. It was just that. So I think it's still fair to say that Joel did rob Ellie of that, because I don't think he cared at all. Like, he looked at this as like, you're my child. I am making this decision for us. I am saving my world. And that's exactly what he did. So no matter how positively I twist this, I still want to be critical and say that, yeah, like, I'd be pretty upset if I wasn't given that, you know, power to make that choice. And it's an interesting topic, because Ellie is at that age where she thinks, well, I mean, she does a lot more things like, you know, like 13, 14-year-olds go through in their life, which is survive a zombie apocalypse and go across the entire country. But there's still that same concept of she's a kid believing she can handle things as an adult. So would she had thought about the possibility of a future in Jackson? No. But I think truly, you know, now that she has that opportunity to enjoy life in this world, I think Ellie would rather have that than be dead, you know. So if you guys think otherwise, please let me know in the comment section down below, because it's such a fun, debatable topic. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below.
Happy birthday, kiddo.
What is this?
This is a thing that took a mighty effort to find. Take it.
Now, the other thing that gets taken away from Ellie, where she essentially has no say, is her ability to actually heal and fix her relationship with Joel. And this is potentially a bit of a stretch, but hear me out. What happens is the night before, Ellie and Joel have this awkward conversation where it's pretty productive. You know, they're trying to open up and tell each other how they feel. But the most important thing I want you to take away from this is Ellie, despite saying she cannot forgive Joel, she's willing to try.
I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
I like that.
Okay. I'll see you around.
Yep.
That's huge, because she could only try for 5 more hours because Joel dies. And that's what was taken away from her. This is actually why I love their dynamic so much, because we know that Joel is that hardened Texan man.
What did he say?
And Ellie, of course, you know, actually, I don't know if she took this from Joel or if her character was like this from the get-go. It seems like even when you play the DLC in the first Last of Us, I forgot the DLC name, but Ellie was already kind of headstrong like this. So she already was and had this personality of being very headstrong, and, you know, like, she wasn't really good at opening up. So I think it was perfect, because now you have these two characters that are clearly in a father-daughter dynamic situation, or father-child dynamic, whatever you want to call it, and they love each other. They just don't know how to say it to each other. So this was happening the night before, of course, this happens. And yeah, so this was another situation where something was taken away from Ellie before she could even act on it. And I believe this is why her revenge is a little different than that of Abby's. Again, Abby, I think, not only believes that the Fireflies were doing the right thing by sacrificing Ellie because they believe that they would find a cure, versus Ellie's is a little bit more around the fact that, again, she didn't have a choice. The man she would call her dad is gone, and she was not given the opportunity to actually forgive him. she was just about to try, and then he is taken away. So I think that's why their revenge and their perspectives is different, although it seems kind of like the same, and why I believe it's so frustrating for Ellie in general because of these two canon events, like Joel lying to her and not telling the truth, taking away that potential to have your life be meaningful. And then 5 years later, when you're trying to forgive this person, they are taken away from you the day after. So you can't even forgive and forget. They're just gone and you can't really move on. And for us who play the game, we know how frustrating it felt throughout the entire game because we knew there was something missing, but I think it took me so many years to finally realize that, you know, Ellie's revenge, again, was a little bit different than that of Abby's. And she kind of, you know, has regret woven into her revenge scheme because I'm sure every day she's thinking about it. She's like, damn, had I forgiven him a week sooner, I would have had a week longer to embrace him, hug him, like, you know, like be around him. And now she's probably thinking that as she's going around in Seattle massacring the Salt Lake crew.
What the fuck happened here?
And for me, that makes it really hard to actually see Ellie go through that. And I think that's why she has that switch up at the very end when she is literally choking out Abby and she decides to let go. Because initially she gets triggered by the fact that she lost the man she loves, her dad, to this woman, Abby. And then at the very end, she has that memory, that recollection of, yeah, I did like work towards forgiving Joel. And at the same time, I think that's what happened with her perspective and her outlook on Abby. Like, it's the same idea. She doesn't believe she can actually forgive her, but I think at the end of it all, with her letting go, she is willing to try before it gets too crazy and before it's too late. And that's going to do it for me in this video. I just wanted to give you guys my take on Ellie's life and the fact that she had no say in some of the most important canon events in her life. I actually, now that I think about it, these are just essentially the most important events in both Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us Part 2 video game, and we'll see this very soon with the series coming out. So I'm curious to actually see how the showrunners would mitigate the effect on certain things and if they're going to stay true to everything that happened in The Last of Us Part 2, because I rewatched some of Part 1 just to kind of like make this video, and I realized that they did change some lines and it made certain characters look better, certain characters look worse. So I am interested to see how that's going to play out with a season 2 airing very, very soon. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts and feelings are in the comment section down below, and let's get talking. Hopefully you guys enjoy season 2, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.